How's the pain?
When I do a lot of exercising and a lot of walking.
Resume our special affairs city committee meeting.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Guerra.
make a motion that we send resolution 180398, which is a public hearing for industrial facilities exemption certificate, Spend Tech USA 2851 on James P. Cole Boulevard to council.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah.
Councilman Mays?
Have we discussed the details of this facility in this committee meeting yet? You know this is a public hearing, we still got time to do it. But who knows the details of this? Anybody is the expert on the council who knows, not the expert, but knows something about it. You know?
Well, I know they're planning to invest $3.8 million.
How about a referral?
Suzanne.
Suzanne?
You actually have discussed this. This was actually going to be a public hearing tonight. This is a replacement resolution to reschedule the public hearing because it did not get published. It requires 10 days public notice. It only received 9, so it had to be rescheduled.
So when did we discuss the details? Do you recall in about what month?
It was in July, I believe,
Of this year?
of this year.
Mr. Winter?
Madam Chair, and other details is that this company, because they wanted to invest this money, this $3.8 million, because of the, it looks like the automobile industry is recovering. They want to buy a building and they want to renovate that building. And they also, I think I read that they had about 90 employees and they look to hire more,
30.
but they didn't say, I don't know, 30. Okay, but I know that this Spantech is a supplier to the automotive industry, and I think it's in.
I'm 4 or 5.
Third, it's by
Oh,
word.
it's 4?
Yeah.
Oh,
The way James P. Cole like splits the
Yeah.
third
Also,
set.
this is Councilman Fields' role,
okay.
but that's like
Not any longer, Councilman Winfrey, they changed the boundaries now. I do have a question about this, and I didn't want to ask what they make, but an auto supplier, okay. Is there any way, do we track, like we're told, you know, to get these exemptions because companies are going to invest X amount of dollars, right? So we're told they're going to invest. How do we track that and ascertain that they do actually do that?
We are actually tracking that right now, and we're working on a better process to track that in order to, before abatements are granted, before we actually, before we decide, we have a formula that we use, there's a whole analysis that we do, but before we determine whether it's a 12-year exemption or a 10-year or 4-year, we're working on a process that quantifies it a little bit, so maybe you won't be seeing 12-year exemptions. You might, and I think Councilwoman Galloway had this conversation before, you won't be seeing maybe 12-year, you might see 4 or 5, and then at the end, we evaluate whether they did what they were supposed to do, which is, you know, if they're supposed to create 30 jobs, did they create those 30 jobs? And if they did, then they might get their full value because we can grant up to 12 years. If they didn't, then we don't, they have their 4 years and they're done. So that is something that is done now. We're trying to make it more consistent and have some processes in place that do that more thoroughly.
Does the assessor participate in this with planning and development?
She does. We bring a whole project team together. It includes the assessor, someone from planning, someone from economic development, someone from building and safety inspections, depending upon the project and the scope of it. So the city administrator, and we're looking to formalize that process.
Cool, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Mays?
I was debating whether I wanted an update from the folks doing it. I'm looking at the background and summary, which is updating me. Ms. Wilcox said that this was scheduled for a public hearing, but it was 9 days versus 10 days of public notice of publication. That public hearing would have been scheduled for what, July or
It was actually scheduled for tonight. I believe tonight was supposed to be the public hearing, correct me, Madam Clerk? Tonight was supposed to be the public hearing when we learned that the, it had not been published 10 days, which the state requires.
I think in passing, I might have heard talk about this, and I knew it, some had to be republished. I'm gonna support the public hearing, and then I'll decide between now and committee or the action that will follow. How close will the actual vote for the exemption certificate? It'll come at the next council meeting. That's what you expect?
It'll come after the public hearing, correct?
On the same day
Yes.
as the public
Yes.
hearing. So that's scheduled for August the 27th. That must be a Monday.
Yes.
And so the Wednesday prior, I guess I'll do my research on my own rather than ask for it to be an agenda item. If you say we've had the presentation, who did the presentation?
I believe Glenda Dunlap was here, and I believe there were representatives of Spentec here.
Well, it's like casual day, and no one told me, or I'd wear a t-shirt.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question for you. So they are currently located.
I like casual day.
And so they're moving from a location to a different location?
They are. So their current location is 2 buildings and has 155,000 total square feet. They'd like to purchase the facility to manage its growth. So where they are.
Well, no, what you just read is what they're trying to acquire.
Correct.
They're located at 4221 James B. Cole, according to what has been provided to us. So they are a current.
They were formerly located at 4221.
Oh, so
They're proposing improvements to the building located at 2851 James P. Cole.
So I guess my question is, are they currently in business right now?
They are currently in business right now.
So this 4221 is, would we say, I know they just took acquisition, but would we say this is where they have been located and operating?
Yes.
In the city?
Yes, 4221.
Okay, and so they're saying once they move to this new location. And so can I do a referral then? I want a referral to see how long they've been in business at the location at the 4221, if I can. And I'd like to find out do they have any exemptions there, or have they been paying the normal taxes? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
To piggyback on what Mr. Bates was saying, in conjunction with the public hearing on this Monday, the Spentec people will be there to make a brief presentation. Okay, we actually ask that when this kind of thing is done, the owners come for our presentation prior to the public comment issue itself.
So you're saying this public meeting is not when council is going on, so if council wants to hear it?
No, it would be.
Well, she said next Monday.
Well, Monday afternoon.
Okay, that's all, then that's fine. That's what confused me, okay.
In the council meeting,
Okay.
they will be there to present to you all and to the audience.
Okay.
The night of the public.
The night of the public
Okay.
hearing.
But if I could any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of moving this to council, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Passes. Appointment.
Oh, I know it's me, but I ain't saying that.
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman Fields.
I'd like to move 180397, the appointment of Carol M. McIntosh from the First Ward as an appointment to the Ethics and Accountability Board.
Moved, is there a second? Mr. It's been moved and seconded, is there any discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Mr. Mayor.
I'll probably abstain on this appointment, just as I've abstained on most of the appointments I've attended the Ethics and Accountability Board since they met. They elected Mr. John Daly as the interim chair. They had a meeting the other night, it didn't happen because of lack of a quorum. I think it was 3 members. I think Mr. Joe King was coming 4, but they needed 6. And then it's a schedule, so I've been watching it. Ms. McIntosh has attended both of those. But I'm doing this recommended appointment just as I've done all of the rest. And that'll be my consistent move at this point.
To the law department, I've noticed that various council people will abstain on issues, and I do believe there's only one reason that it's correct to abstain, and that is a conflict of interest. And I believe that you have to state what your conflict of interest is, which basically means somehow it's going to benefit you. So I'm asking for a referral to legal for an opinion on when it's correct to abstain and what the criteria around when you may or may not abstain, and what you have to do when you do abstain.
I might have an opinion on this already, but we'll get it.
Thank you.
Either way.
Madam Chair, I've looked at that before too, and I've seen a reason stated. I think the first look would be, and if you look to the council rules first, I think that's where you're going to find the most relevant in the first look at it. And then, you know, we can take it from there. But whatever those rules say, I'm looking forward to the rules committee. When I looked at it, and I used to think that it might have to be a conflict, but if you can state a purpose, as long as you state your reason and rationale is what I read somewhere. But I'll be eager to see what that is. If I had to travel heavy today, I would just pull out my briefcase and look at my council rules. Is the council rules here?
Right, Madam Chair.
Anybody know what section is abstention?
It's a referral. The referral was made. I gave the latitude, but we are on this appointment from Councilman May.
The discussion I'm having and the look I'm looking for is relevant. If I'm going to say it, I might abstain. So if you would continue to give latitude, we're looking up something right now.
But you don't have.
When it comes to my vote, it's relevant. Referral, no referral is relevant. We timely. This is the last order on the agenda before the 5:30 meeting. I appreciate the indulgence. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I got the floor, Don.
Well, I don't.
I thought he was through.
Thank you. I didn't think I was through.
Well, you said, does anybody
you
have it?
indulge me, and I
Right.
start looking for
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Continue.
Thank you. Rule 9.8, abstaining votes. To abstain means to not vote at all. 9.9, abstaining from voting on a question of direct personal interest. No member should vote on a question in which he or she has a direct personal or pecuniary interest, not common to other members of the organization. Voting on a question which affects oneself. The rule on abstaining from voting on a question of direct personal interest does not mean that a member should not vote for him or herself for an office or other position to which members generally are eligible, or should not vote when other members are included with him in a motion. And I think maybe that's all it says. So when it doesn't really go further, then we must turn to Robert's Rules. Have we got Robert's Rules to be?
So, Madam Attorney, maybe we need to interpret personal interest.
Madam Chair,
you know what I mean?
if I may continue,
Councilman
I know what personal interest means. And I don't really always rely on the city attorney's office for that ruling on that interpretation. I welcome all of the input, but I think this council got to get to where when we receive information from the city attorney, even when we interpret Robert's rules, the reasonable thing to do is, find people with this longer. Nope, she's there already. This is what it says, right of abstention. Although it is the duty of every member who has an opinion on a question, he can abstain since he cannot be compelled to vote. By the same token, when an office or position is to be filled by a number of members, as in the case of a committee or position on a board, a member may partially abstain by voting for less than all of those whom he is entitled to vote. Now, without going further, that's telling me that you can't compel it. But then it says up under that, abstaining from a vote on a question of direct personal interest. You know what that is. Voting on a question affecting the self-interruption of votes. So I'm going to stop there and let somebody tell me.
Well, I would like to say, just based on what you read, it said partial abstention.
Oh, you talking about something else?
That's what you read.
Oh, you said partial extension said, that's like if you want to abstain on one, but vote on 5. Correct. That's what that's referring to. So what I'm doing is hanging my hat on, you can't compel me. If I choose to abstain, you keep it moving.
Sounds good to me.
But anybody can read this if they want.
That's fine.
But it could be more to it because Robert's rules is in depth.
No problem.
Okay,
Ms. Fields, thank you.
I'd just like to say I understand why Councilman Mays, because if he's about to vote and do such a vote, he wants it to be correct. But the reason I ask for a referral to the law department is I have read council rules, Robert's rules, the charter, okay, et cetera, and I believe we have been using abstentions incorrectly. So I think it would clarify if we just, and we can't expect the city attorney to do it if we have an actual legal opinion regarding abstentions. So if we could move on, I would appreciate it, to the appointments, and then have this resolved later when we have, somebody's had documents.
Madam Chair, as we move on and vote, I'm saying the best way to solve these is not multi-referrals to the city attorney. Read for yourself. And then when you're in appeal of a ruling or whatever, we are the final body of decision.